Hello, how's it going?
Hello.
All is well, or less.
More or less.
Howdy, y'all.
Yeah.
Hey there, Mr. Griffey.
No.
And howdy, see? Yeah,
Evening, ladies and gentlemen.
now everybody's kind of wandering in.
Yeah.
Oh, what is the drink of the moment? It's a slushy of some
Yeah.
sort.
It's a blue bubblegum slush.
Okay, where'd you get it?
There's an ice cream truck, one of the ice cream trucks that runs around, and I've gotten really good friends with the lady who and her husband owned it. I got really good friends with the lady.
Uh-huh.
So I've got her phone number, so I can call her up when she's like running around town, or she'll text me when she's coming towards the Rent Center parking lot.
Yeah, that's handy.
Yeah, and I just pay $4 for this whole cup.
Cool.
Cool.
And howdy, Joan.
Hello.
Hello.
Alrighty.
Logan, you look kind of King Kong back there hanging off the side of the mountain.
He's got a comfy seat in the valley there, right up at the.
Yeah, he's seated on the geothermal plant. I'm nowhere near 100%, but I at least get characters built and little prologue we've got.
I think I have a character built. I've
Well,
put together a character sheet. It may or may not be right, but
I was just looking.
I have part of a character built.
repulsor lift repair is car repair. That was
Yeah.
the easiest place for me to put it.
Exactly, and that's how it works. We'll just translate it to the closest thing because nobody knows anything about Star Wars at this point. This picture looked almost exactly like the way the town looked in my head. So, I think it's newer than the 90s, but still, it's just a kind of a, I don't know, Murfreesboro-sized town at the base of the volcano over there. It's dormant. So, it's got its own little bay. Fort Prosperity is what it's called. Name of the town's Kenlian, but it looks like you got the right idea. Your bases equal out to everything else. As long as your bases equal 18, you can modify everything else. Pips only cost 1 right now, but as we start raising after this initial point of character creation, it's pretty straightforward. If it's 2D, to go 2 plus 1 costs 2 points. The 2 plus 2 costs 2 points. 2 plus 2 to 3 is 2 points. Then it becomes 3 points to go to 3 plus 1. 3 points to go to 3 plus 2. 3 points to go to 4D. And it just follows that progression with the assumption that it gets harder to learn something the more you learn. But for character creation, it's all just 1 pip. And that's the most confusing thing about day 1. And like I said, we'll just, for the purposes of storytelling, we'll just bend the Star Wars rules to fit real life for right now. The concession is by the time we do switch over to a spacefaring campaign or laser wielding campaign, is the skills and bonuses you've learned along the way will translate over. I won't dock you any for learning something new. The action is the same. You pull a trigger, you turn a yoke. And the biggest thing that the specializations of the 2nd edition foisted on people was you could specialize where you could, if you did anything other than your favorite sidearm or your favorite ship, you lose a die on everything. That's all that is. And as good role players, we all can incorporate difficulty numbers and things that would reflect that. You don't necessarily have to have that built in. And also incorporate a wild die that would throw in something stupid that the game master wasn't prepared for. Like you roll straight 6s and you hit. Well, your wild die failed. So guess what? Your gun jams. You can't use it next round. I really needed you to make another shot. What happens then? It just throws in wrinkles that muddies up the water. So I am God here. And this first arc is short. It may be just 5 or 6 episodes, but 5 or 6 episodes will get us till Christmas. I hope. We got a handful of scenes prepared until I have to have Peg for his part. So with him absent, I have to kind of cut it just a smidge short. A whole lot's just going to be discussing how characters and gameplay works tonight. Logan, how's yours coming over there? I haven't looked at yours to see where you are. All right, let's see. Put your. It's 18 per section. No, it's for all your bases. Yeah, like I said, if you made the capital, the ones that are all caps, those total have to be 18. You can have 4 in those 2, but you need to drop a die in one of the other ones. And you put a D behind it, it should fill everything. But now that you've entered something in each one, you're going to go back and do it manually. But for example, so you want your knowledge to be less or mechanical? You can leave your dex and perception 4s. It just means you got to lower something else. The way I did that? Or are you looking at your sheet? Say you don't know anything about alien races or any of that sort of stuff. So we'll call that a 2, since you robbed a die to raise your other things. So you put 2 and a capital D there. Guess what? It populates the whole section. See how that works? Is it showing up on yours? All right. You're not really flying anything. You're driving, right? So you might want to cut that one back and leave your other ones at 3. Does that make sense? Because 3 is the professional level of training for anything in the galaxy. Coming out of the police academy, you're a 3D everything. That makes sense?
That helps me understand a little bit more.
Yeah, because when you get to be 5 and 6D and something, you're best in a planet. You get up to 8 or 9, you're best in a system. You get to 10 or 12, you're best in the galaxy. So that's how points work. The biggest kicker is once you set your bases, they stay that way. But it populates everything under it at that same rate. So you can not burn some skills if you raise your bases. If that makes any sense.
A little bit.
All right.
So the astrogation that I have populated is really communication.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't figure out any other where to put that one.
There's actually a blank down there if you wanted to actually put something in there. But if
I
you use,
already have ground vehicle operations in
I
there.
got you.
I think he wanted, if you're going to do ground vehicle, to take repulsor lift.
Yeah, you can just call it the same thing
Okay.
because you're still just turning a wheel to go somewhere. So it's the same kind of idea. I would, if you want to just go ahead and think about the future, you can put sensors down there. And you can still use that as communications.
Okay.
Does that make any sort of sense?
Yeah. I'm just adjusting it now.
And to give you a sense on damage scales, there are additional caveats to this, but the base damage of a lightsaber is 5 dice.
Yeah. That's why I said those 2 and 3Ds is that was on the GURPS sheet fits right in line because your typical over-the-counter civilian laser pistol is 3D. I always call those laser rifles from the G.I. Joe cartoon, I called them 3D, just basic semi-automatic rifles. When you get up to Han Solo, which is he carries an absolutely illegal weapon on most worlds, if he gets caught with it, he gets arrested. That's why it's a 5D pistol. But that was what I was trying to get to. I didn't want something that would overpower a laser pistol of a heavy variety. So I thought, hey, we can just reuse this GURPS chart. It works. That
we
the
went
name
with the
weapons of this
shotgun,
year.
but- Yeah, I finally went with the shotgun after you gave me damage for it, but I was beginning to think I didn't want one because the way GURPS does.
Yeah, we're not
Spread.
using we're not using GURPS rules. We're just using a recognizable weapon
Yeah,
that gives it some sort of damage,
but a shotgun fit well with this particular doctor.
and that's okay. I think we can make all that work. Peg's playing basically a lumberjack. He's channeling Wolverine from Origins. Ex-military guy who's gone out in the woods to find himself. Logan's playing deputy sheriff. Matt's playing an archaeologist. He's basically got the Londo Malari hairdo. Aliens. You still doing the slicky boy over there, Eric?
Yeah.
Okay. Steven's a all-around pilot. He's channeling TC from Magnum. Pilot for hire. He now does everything.
I am your town's country doctor, probably considering the things you were saying about what points give you. I'm probably also the best mechanic in town.
I got you.
I figure
Maybe not.
fixing people and fixing cars ain't all that different.
Exactly. The biggest thing that you may actually find odd, there's a new doctor in town, and she's some sort of uber chemist. She's been doing miracle cures through just medicines. And she's got some sort of treatment that basically does miracles, but you haven't been where you could see it yet. She kind of keeps it closer to her vest.
I got 7 dots in medicine. I ain't scared.
There you go. I ain't made her sheet yet. We ain't got to where we're gonna meet her, but yeah, she's in that same boat. She's about that same level.
I spent the vast majority of my points in medicine and first aid, so
There you go. Probably gonna wind
that
up.
might be.
I think Matthew's about got his done. All those many years of Star Wars we played, he kind of got the gist of it. In the early days,
we went and grabbed our books today, and we had Star Wars D20. So
I got you. And there's some cool stuff in there, and I have run across some stuff that will convert it. Some of the other races, and
Yeah. It looked
things
like all of my West End game stuff got lost when I lost that hard drive.
I got you. I found that page that I sent that link to.
Yeah, I've
It's
just
got about
re-downloaded them all.
everything. It's got about everything. I had it in my hot bar on my screen. It's just my mouse died and I couldn't get to it. Desktop is away from my desk proper and it's hidden, so it can't really get good signal from a wireless. It's been the wired one I had forever and finally passed away. It's been going out for 2 months. Go ahead, E.
Took me forever to find stats on a basic knife. I kept searching for the D6 knife, and I kept coming up with things like, and sillily titled things too.
Oh yeah.
The something close combat weapon system, close combat melee weapon system.
Yeah.
Which is a knife.
Exactly. Yeah. Most your standard knives are slash and thrust are pretty much just 1D plus strength, maybe 1D plus 1 plus strength. You get into
this is 1D plus strength.
Yeah. And then you get into say a katana. You get into a katana or something, because you get more of a impaling or some weight behind your swing on your slashing with that. I'll let it go to 2. But the 2D range is more for vibro weapons, powered blades. But I'll fudge it. We'll make whatever it is cool. Most tech of this tech level armor only gives like 1D of protection anyway. When you get into even the Star Wars stuff that will deflect most bullets, only gives 2D of protection. So it's not super advanced, but if you really want to get a good hit, it's just like with any other armors, you gotta go for the bendy places. Then you start calling shots and it gets a little harder.
Woohoo!
Bless you, Logan.
I'm telling you, it was aliens. They was a hoovering over the barn.
As far as your pickpocketing, I'll either let you specialize with that. You can use your hide sneak for that because it's definitely palming and hiding something, or your dexterity, whichever comes up to be higher.
When I created the character, there was a pickpocket skill listed.
I got
It's
you.
not listed on the
Sheet.
It's not listed on the sheet, but I just added it in the extra
I got you.
slot.
That's the only thing I hated about this sheet is it didn't give you enough extra specialization slots. The sheet that suggested it was so all black and just had white text boxes, and I just couldn't see it. I just could not see it to save my ass. At least this one I can read. There are some better ones I have seen, but they just not supported by Roll20. And I thought the one we used before was different from this, but I couldn't find it available when I went to create the game. So I don't know what happened to it. Because it had several additional spots. In the old days, I ran it through the typewriter and typed it on the back. That tells you how long ago that was. We started playing that in 1988. And what disgusts me is all these Star Wars books that I've sent you a link to are free now. I got $500 worth of $1988 in all these books over there.
Yeah.
That's me with Deadlands. I have, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars worth of Deadlands material, and then they switched it all over to.
Almost all of the old stuff.
Yeah, I have all of the original Deadlands stuff, and then they switched it all over to Savage Worlds, and so.
Oh, move everybody together here. That's what's going to take so long is everybody's in 3 or 4 different locations when we start. Matt has a little blurb he has to do. It happens 6 months before the game begins, but it won't take all of 5 minutes to run.
It was 6 months before the game began, but time was moving fast.
Yeah. Everybody had a look finding tokens? I've struggled with it. I'm going
I
to take
just
some
used the character picture. I didn't
Yeah.
want to try. Yeah.
as long as
Yeah.
it's something we move around to indicate that it's you. That's all I'm really
Yeah, I've got the character picture. I don't know if it works as a token or not, but
Hey, when you go to select your token, you can just import the same picture.
Yeah.
It works fine. No, howdy, no. How's it going?
Good evening. How are y'all?
We are gathering together.
I figure that's actually a pretty good picture for my character. Bearded, stocky,
Oh yeah, it works pretty good.
dresses like he's out of the 1800s sometimes.
Yeah, let me release your character sheet to you.
Alrighty.
I was waiting on you to log in. Just look at the picture I've got behind me here. It's just 1990s northwestern Canada.
That's the height of Nirvana, isn't it?
I don't know. I just typed that in, and that's what it came up as. The big things are deadliest catch boats out there fishing off the bay. There's the most advanced thing in town is the geothermal plant that's hooked up to that big mountain over there. It's a dormant volcano. That's also the nation's basically continent's Yucca Mountain. It's where all the military stuff, secret squirrel stuff happens. There's some people that work up there. A lot of logging. We've got a lot of this is going to open around the logging town, the logging community. Some pharmaceuticals have just taken off a little bit. Logan's playing a sheriff's deputy. Matt's an archaeologist who's been brought in on scene. Steven's basically playing TC, just a helicopter for rent. Kind of works for everybody. Chris, are you and Joan both at the clinic or what?
I'm not sure what she's doing. She was saying something about
Okay.
knives, so she may be running afoul of Logan's sheriff's deputy at some point because
Yeah, I specialized in like knives and ground vehicles, but I don't really have
All right.
a picture in mind as far as what she is.
I got you. It's okay. There's 4 liquor stores in town.
I mean, I saw one thing where it had you points in mixology, so I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Could be the bartender.
and there's a need for that. It is still a quote unquote military town. They do come on leave and come in and trash town quite a bit.
I've just got to figure out. I'm reworking some of my points, so I'm seeing where to put everything again to make sure it's right.
And like I said, with it populating the whole section, that makes it a little easier. You're not stuck having to raise every little thing. It gives you what would be a collegiate level of training in just about everything if you just want straight 3D for all your bases. It makes you
You're smart, right? You go to college.
it makes you bland, but it works. It's pretty handy. Only problem is once your bases are set, you're stuck with them.
Yeah, I did notice that and had to adjust some accordingly.
Yeah, you can't drop anything below a single die. And they recommend not going above 4+2 because of the same reason.
I've got to relocate the sheet that I've been looking at earlier that had the drinking stuff on it. Oh, there it is. I think I've got it still.
Like I said, the whole idea is to have fun with it because it's just to be, we're just talking normal people like you would find on Earth. You know, nothing woo going on yet. That's what lands on it to screw everything up on down the road. This is the new popular way of telling stories where everybody's following clues of something else that's going on, kind of like Stranger Things. And it all comes together at the end. And everybody's going to figure it out. So it'll go fairly quickly, I think. But like I said, 4 or 5 episodes, we'll have made it to Christmas. Peg will have his new game figured out by then, and I can take a hiatus and figure out what we're going to do when we get to that point. If we all survive, do we defend our world or do we flee it?
All right. So the drink mycology looks like it's under knowledge.
I can understand that. That makes sense.
I'm trying to figure out where to put it on what's on the sheet, though.
Let me pull it up and look at it. We'll just do his. Tell you what, we can cheat. Put it under your technology role. Call it chemistry.
Okay.
That would work. Or you could cheat and call it your alien races. Because you can get anybody drunk.
Okay, that works.
And that would be how you would do it later. It says, let me fix you a drink. And then just, you first Vulcan, you give him a hot chocolate kind of thing. I had a Star Trek character that was his thing, as he learned how to make a Mickey for every race he come across. He was actually a doctor and a chemist, but that was his goal in life, was to have the Kirk urge with as many races as he could, using his chemistry skills to soften them up a little.
kind of puts a whole new meaning on Han shot first.
Yeah.
That's hard to do with a Horda.
Han did shots first.
The thing is, with a Horda, it's acid. So kind of hard to share the drink. Can't have two straws with that one. Oh. So what you're thinking over there, Neff?
I was thinking about a crazy hermit, but all the pictures look like Steve, and I was like, trying to think. Last two Star Wars games, I've been a bureaucrat and a park ranger. So I'm like,
Yeah. I've got a slot for an FBI agent.
I don't know. That sounds far too useful.
Yeah, I got them as NPCs right now, but I could assign you one of them.
I found a site I could actually build a profile of my character, what she looks like.
Can I
So I
get an
created
FBI
one.
guy that gets the coffee for the other FBI guys?
The
Go
intern?
Yeah, go for it.
The FBI intern. That's right.
That'll work.
All right, you just became the plot hook right there.
You're the
only-
Jaffo.
Exactly. The thing is, he's the only one that got the clue that sent the other two agents to go find Matt.
Wait, they're what now?
Yeah, we'll get there in a minute. It's all part of your prologue.
Uh-huh.
Huh? Did you see that in chat? I put that GURPS list in. At the bottom of that list, there's 1950 to 2000s weapons. You got sidearms and rifles both. You can pick out what you like. All you need is the name of it and the damage, whatever 2D or 3D that it is. And that'll translate over into this. Does that make sense to you, Nev?
No, sorry.
And earlier in chat about lunchtime today, we were discussing equipment. To keep slug throwers from overpowering laser weapons, I'm just using the GURPS damage. But it's weapons you recognize, stuff that people would have right now. Shotguns, we call that 3D plus 1 to make up for their area effect damage. It's so weird. But most everything else is 2D, 3D damage, which would be about what a typical over-the-counter handgun or light rifle would be. But it gives you names, stuff you can pick out and recognize off of that list. It's up in chat a ways. I can resend it if you need.
I'll be able to find it. No worries.
Yeah. Because, like I said, your typical run-of-the-mill, like I said, those G.I. Joe M16s from the cartoon, I call them a 3D semi-automatic rifle. So it still falls in the same line as what the slug thrower would be of the same grade. Then when you get into military grades beam weapons, that's when they start going up to 5 and 6. Then heavy weapons start after that. But it's just trying to keep things balanced. It made it easy. Oh, I know what a Colt pistol is. So here you go. It's a 3D pistol. Sweet. Okay, good.
Hey, Chris,
Yes, sir.
she's ex-military. She's got some military.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she's got a case of concussion grenades
That'd be a whole lot of fun to throw out the window of a helicopter. Yeah.
for clearing landing spots.
There you go. Yeah, that's pretty ouchy. That'll dismember an enemy pretty quick.
They're not going to be out. Going to have to maybe one in the glove box.
Yeah. That makes more sense than rolling around loose in the floorboard.
What was in the glove box?
Yeah, they're duct taping the road to the dash.
Can't tape them.
Huh?
I can't tape them. The weapons properties. I couldn't think of it.
Just like it's not gonna probably not gonna roll. You're probably going to have to use the die roller to come up with damage for them. It's just basically just a place hold to identify what it is and just write it in there with it as part of the description, and then they won't roll it for you. I don't think.
You should be able to put the damage in there.
Yeah, that's it. Just yeah, you put the weapon and you just put, but you got to put the D in there. Don't just put just the number. You got to put the number and the D in there for it to make sense.
The D has to be capitalized.
Yeah.
Go into my character.
Okay.
Can you
Yeah, let me look.
type in
Let me look.
Just anything.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, that's a lot of damage. I should probably do something about that.
What do you use? Thermal detonator power.
Apparently, I just need 3D and not 3D6 in there.
Yes.
Because right now what I have is
D6.
I got a shotgun that can do some damage. All right, so let's just turn that all into 3D and see how that does.
Whoa, suddenly we're in the Matrix.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm still doing it.
See how that works?
I have obviously done something wrong on this sheet.
What's the damage on your pistol of it? That's a M1. Okay. What in the world? It's all full of stuff. So what's the damage on it? Your rifle?
Chris, sorry,
I'm sorry.
there's no 6. Don't put D6, but just D. So
Yeah.
damage is 2 dice, 2D, or 2D plus 1.
Yeah.
I'm working on it now. That looks a little bit more like what I expect shotgun damage to be.
There you go.
If I were you, I'd go find that other shotgun.
That was a nice shotgun.
You get a Quizzer laying on a planet. I want one of these. What is it? Oh, I can't see because it's. I gotta zoom it in. I can't. You forget I'm half blind.
Jeff. Okay, Jeff. I like that. I see Jeff's picture over there. Jeff the intern. Nice.
Yes. It's. You don't need anything in the range. You don't need none of that. You don't need the PI. You just need the numbers, though. Something plus 1. Yeah, there you go.
0 D6 will get you 0.
Yeah, it's. I don't know what it's doing.
I think Logan has it updated and your sheet hasn't updated yet or something.
Yeah, it still ain't working. Thing is all the other ones are left
I
just.
want to hide from all these guns going off.
Yeah. Really, just a 2? Okay, that's cool. Which is probably right. It's a small bullet, but it's working now.
Out of context, someone asked, "What's a knife do?"
Yeah. Strength plus 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm showing as well. I was just looking up knives myself.
Yeah, if you pull out a sword, I'll let you do a little more exotic with it. But if you get up above like 2D, you're starting to get into vibro weapons damage.
Does the knife do the same amount of damage if you're using the thrown weapon?
I would probably say yes,
Okay.
because it's still your strength behind the throw.
I'm just making sure because I'm wanting to do both of them so with my knives.
And I guess for rolling purposes, if you just want to make your damage, that includes your strength base plus that 1D. Make it easier, so you don't have to roll twice.
So what would the range on a thrown knife be?
It
That's
should-
obviously not in the thrown weapons or in the melee or ranged weapons.
What did I do with it? There it is. I saw
I think it
something.
depends how mad you are.
Now, let's see.
Depending on how much liquor you're trying to steal.
I saw something on that a little while ago. Let me go back to that. Seems like I remember that being covered in the Gamemaster's guide. I'll see if I can look that up.
Okay, I was looking under general equipment for starters, so
That little book was the most wonderful thing they ever put out. It just condensed everything in the tables. You know, Thomas left one in the back seat of his car and it rained on it and it molded and I had to go get another one.
oh no.
I don't know if it'll have anything on it, but thrown weapons. No, they don't list. They just list the Beskar staff as a thrown weapon.
I
Yep.
know you can throw knives, so just a matter of figuring it out then.
Now I just got to find the magic book because it went over scatter and everything. So I was hoping it would have something on ranges.
What does it mean by 9 by 19 millimeter? Is it like the length is 19 millimeters and is a 9 millimeter diameter?
I would
Yes.
Okay. I've never seen it listed like that before. That's interesting. I don't really play with real pistols in the real world much.
That is
Just
also known as 9mm Luger or 9mm Parabellum, or
just right pepper sprays the weapon. And, yeah, just list it down there and just put 2D by it. And then if you use it, you just roll 2D6 out of the. Because it'll probably be your, like you do a blaster, it'd be your dexterity to hit with it. And then you just roll your damage. All right. You're hiding it. Oh, that's not it. All right. This basically says ranges, and it's considering back blast if it flunks and rolls back towards you. It says short range is 1D meters, medium range is 2, and long range is 3D meters. So it'll be a total of 18 meters will be the probably furthest you could throw it.
Okay.
And that's considering grenades. One thing to consider is usually that starts dropping die when you get into long ranges. Throwing a knife, I'd probably just keep it to that same 6 meters. You give you
Okay.
2 hexes basically.
And that makes sense.
Yeah. I just had to look it up. The thing really wasn't a screen, but that's what they called it. It's a second edition Gamemaster screen, had more adventures in it than it did tables, but the tables were really good.
Yeah, I found some tables in the main book. They're almost to the end of the book, so it took a long time to.
Yeah, everything's in appendix and everything. But this little staple bound book was like the best thing they had as far as charts. Let's see.
Now, as far as armor, when we're first starting out, we don't really have much in the way of what we'd be using for armor, do we?
Let's say if you had a police bulletproof vest, something you could wear under your typical clothing, it wouldn't give you a whole lot of restriction to your dexterity, but it would give you a +1 die to your damage or your strength roll for rolling against damage. When you start getting into full suits of stuff, like you hit a stormtrooper over the head and take his armor, then it affects your dexterity because it's a full body something.
Right.
Once you get past the headache of character creation, this is one of the simplest systems out there. It's all D6s. You don't have to worry about odd die for odd weapons, or most of it's common sense, and it doesn't get too terribly stupid.
I don't know, them 6 hours.
It does take a while when you really get going.
He rolled his damage. He got 24 D6.
I don't have a 4 anywhere in the box. So I don't know where the 24 came from. That's interesting.
The damage should be 2D +1, not or whatever. You don't put a D6 in there.
Yeah, it's just
having 6 messed it up.
Yeah,
having the 6 messed it up.
Weird.
It's just the dynamics of the sheet. It's got its own issues. I don't know what happened to the one we used last time. That sheet was a lot better, had more spaces to add specializations, but it disappeared. It wasn't on the list anymore. The other one, Sublime, hard to read. It's just strange. Like trying to read an ASCII page, and it was tough. I just like the way this one autofills for you. So did you ever figure out what you're actually doing there now?
Yeah, I thought I was the intern.
Okay, so you're going to stick with that. I was just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that gives you
take a look at his character pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I see him bringing the coffee. Yeah.
Both of those are meant to immobilize suspects. Could I add like a other check of damage or something to do that?
We just call it stun damage. Because they still roll their strength against it. So it still has to affect them enough to at least get them off balance to where you can do something else, where you can punch them in the nose or slap your cuffs on them or whatever. Give you a round to figure out another attack or something.
Okay. Okay.
I would just roll your dexterity to hit, because you got to be able to aim and shoot it at them, just like you would a blaster or a pistol. And then if you hit, then you roll your damage, and he rolls his strength against it to see if he stays conscious or not. If he takes any sort, if he loses in that challenge, you knock him out. Because you can set blasters to stun also. Same idea. Once we get that far.
So I just found a section on knives, and it says people who learn to throw the specially balanced knives quite accurately up to 10 meters.
Okay. That'll
So
be
I
that medium
yeah.
range.
I apparently didn't read the knives description all the way to the bottom.
I got you. So we'll just round that up and call it 3 squares,
Okay.
just to keep it easy. So you still roll you 2. Because you got to beat their 3. Most people are a 3.
2D. Yeah. And there are dice at each one.
Huh?
Regular dice at each one.
And that's a D6.
Okay.
So you go to the die roller and hit advanced and do D6 two of them. And that would roll it. Yeah, it would just come up like that. But when we call for it, that would give us what we need. Kind of having a fudge just a little bit. All right. Is that the number you found on your baton? I would probably make it a 1 if it doesn't have anything special on that sheet. Because it's your strength plus that. So in your case, your damage would actually be 4. If you don't put that in parentheses by it, that's what you would actually have to roll if you hit somebody in the head with that. Make sense? It's strength plus 1. So, yeah. Justice stick. Logan has spent his week learning to be a firefighter.
How'd it go?
I think he had a good time. See if I can find one of the pictures.
Is this in response to the Canadian wildfires?
You know, it was just a little thing that the Murfreesboro Fire Department was offering, and they were only taking 20 kids, and they accepted him. So I thought that was really cool.
Did he get to use the hose, put out a real fire?
He did.
Awesome.
It wasn't a big fire, but he did put out a fire. He did get to play with a hose.
All right. If someone is able to, can you make sure that I've got all my points accounted for and I don't have anything mixed up as far as my skills?
Well, I'll give it a look. And I'd tell you the same thing as, well, you got it up above, so that works. Yeah, that works. It all looks like the right format where we'll roll, right?
Okay.
Now, even though we're not playing with force-sensitive people, everybody gets a free force point. What that amounts to is you can pray. And what that does is you double your roll for that action. Like you take a round to aim, instead of adding just 1 die for your extra aiming, you called upon whatever deity you have and throw all that celestial weight behind that roll. That's where the force point comes in. Now, if you just waste it, if you do it just for something that's self-serving or something like that, you may or may not get it back. But if you do it at a dramatic instant where you save the party or something, you're pretty much guaranteed to get it back.
And maybe get another one.
Yeah, that's what that's for. Because, even though we're blissfully unaware of such things, that doesn't mean that some people may not be susceptible to it. If it's actually done in the right frame of mind and everything, it may actually come to pass. That's just how it is. It's like the rules state that anybody can pick up a lightsaber, but picking it up without cutting your leg off is something else. Without dropping it and passing through the entire space station and killing everybody.
Well, the lightsaber very dangerous.
I think that looks pretty good.
Okay.
So that about got everybody together. Those are for Jedi skills. So you're not going to mess with that. Unless you find yourself eating tablespoons of midichlorian somewhere to.
Let me see. It takes 20 skill points to unlock Force Sensitive, I think.
And then it's 10 times normal cost to raise anything.
It's not that bad, but it is expensive, especially if you don't have a teacher.
Yeah.
20 skill points to get Force Sensitive, 1 Inquisitor to take it all away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
You don't want to. Every time you wave the woo-woo shit, that's when it pings somebody across the galaxy and they come hunting for you. Even Obi-Wan got rusty because he was afraid to do anything. Interesting thing about Dalara is it has a tide-locked orbit. So one side always faces the sun. The only way to tell passing of days is the moon circling the world. That's what gives you your time of day, to give you basically your 24-hour frame of reference. As you see this dark circle pass above you.
Huh.
Actually, that's fair. No, I'll take it back. It's on the backside. It'd be lit. Everything's just like late fall, that far north. Everything's in a perpetual dusk. It gets a little darker at night and a little lighter in the morning, but it stays pretty much dusky. You guys are about somewhere between 700 and 1,000 miles from the equator, and it's this cold. Where it's right now is some quote unquote summer season. There's just patches of snow around, everything's slushy and piles where the road's been cleared and stuff like that. There is a very cold ocean, and then you get to a very large polar cap on the other end. So this is the only way it's really inhabitable. If you go more toward the other hemisphere, it's as arid as you can imagine. And closer to the other pole is just saw a guy in an orange robe just burst into flames. Across that ocean is another tribe of people. And they have a very powerful navy. And they keep everyone else away.
It's not very nice of them.
It's nobody has seen them in probably 200 years. That's the way in Star Trek is between the way Earth and Romulus were. They just communicated via radio. Nobody has any long-range bombers. I think about the heaviest thing anybody has is like a C-130. And it's held tight to the military. Most travel between the handful of major cities on this side of the ocean is accomplished with something, say, the size of a Learjet. There are lots of puddle jumpers out there. It's just the way Alaska is. It's hard to get to places, so that's why Stevens in so demand. You know, he'll fly supplies out to those deadliest catch boats. They go as far as they can go without interfering with that Navy. And they have the most communication with them. They actually see the vessels, and they look, the vessels they have look very much like our stealth vessels we have now. They're very angular, tall like that. None of them much bigger than what we consider a cruiser. Cutters and cruisers is about as big as anything they present is, but they're bristling, and most everybody carries say, harpoon scale weapon missiles. There are some like cruise level missiles that can reach from here to there. And when they're saber rattling, they pull them out and parade them around. So everybody knows the capacity is there. And there's been if you don't mind the pun, a Cold War for many years. But it's something that has gone on for so long that nobody pays it any mind. There'll be little boat get too far one way or the other and be a scare, or someone would fly over and freak somebody out. Stuff like that would happen. Kind of like the way we respond to anything that North Korea does. No real contested areas like Taiwan or anything like that, but it's just an uneasy keep your distance attitude. The military on this side of the ocean they keep to their mountain pretty much, but they'll come down into the city to party and drink, tear stuff up, and that keeps Logan over there busy. But by and large, it's just them being rowdy, kids being kids. The other side of that mountain is most of they have their own little city. It's where their air base is, where the barracks are, and their training facilities, gunnery ranges, and this sort of thing. And every once in a while, you'll hear something coming from over there. They'll fly over, and most of the time, it's combat helicopters. It's where Steven's character, where she learned how to fly. And most advanced things like a turboprop, the C-130s. You don't see a whole lot of jets or repulsor lifts or any of that sort of thing. Just not that advanced technology wise. It's just, like I said, this is the second biggest city on the continent. It's like I said, it's Murfreesboro. It's not that big. There's probably not 2 million people on the entire planet, both sides. Very sparsely populated. Like I said, it feels very much like a rural Alaska. Not only is it for the deep sea fishing, which gets shipped out, the logging, which gets shipped out, the geothermal, and most of the other industry is that new pharmaceutical stuff that's popping up, and down at the dollar store, and somebody at the grocery store, and the liquor store, and Radio Shack. Just that sort of thing. There's not a whole lot of wealth out there. Everybody's pretty much struggling. There are some people who own a lot of land or several businesses and diversified and made something of themselves, but it's not uber political about it. It still has a very small town feel to it. And like I said, most people are far flung. They just tend to stay to themselves. It's just a rugged nature of the populace. Everybody thinks they're Grizzly Adams. They just keep to themselves and try not to bother with what everybody else is doing. Most everybody's, maybe you put up a little bit of solar and some wind power on their own property just to save on things. It's a little bit more technology than the 90s were. Everybody's got flip phones kind of thing. Not a whole lot of service at that. And it's probably that same 700 to 1,000 miles to the other major two cities on this side of the ocean. So it's pretty secluded out here. Most people probably haven't been outside of 300 miles. Maybe some other little villages, but not really. Everybody just stays sedentary and has been this way for hundreds of years. nobody really knows the full history of the world. This is the way it's always been. Something we didn't talk about. We're worried about today. Then we go back to about 6 months ago. Matt's character at the Capitol, at the major university, was just researching history and couldn't go back more than 300-400 years. Everything just happened. Before that, there was no recorded history. And as modern as everything is, that didn't make any sort of sense. Where do we come from? So he and his little team developed, we'll call it like a low-level satellite. And it picked up something out in the desert. Got a little ping or something. And he and a few others went out on a little expedition into that very dangerous, arid area. And I don't have any tokens out here, but we'll just look at it. All right. This is what everybody sees. Off to the right there, they got their little encampment and their little vehicle that got them there. But there's just this very small, black, sandblasted pyramid sticking out of the sand. But you couldn't really tell how big it was from the satellite imagery. But when you walked up to it, it wasn't but maybe about 15 feet tall.
Maybe that's just the tip of the iceberg.
That's the idea. Because this is so inhospitable. How did it get here? Who built this? But it's almost perfect on each side. Everything's identical. It's scarred and scratched up. Like I said, it is a obsidian color. It's hot because it's absorbing all the heat. It's scratched up, and you can see it a little bit silver in some of the etchings of this wind-blown sand across it. And you guys decide to excavate, or are you just going to leave it sitting there?
First off, let's get the obvious out of the way. Jaffa Cree. Yes, tender detection. Okay. That's done.
Okay.
So the most important part at this point, just in covering the thing, is document what we see. This is an archaeological find unlike anything anyone's found on this planet. It's the find of a lifetime.
Absolutely.
So those etchings, get copies of them.
Like I said, you can tell it's just where it's been sandblasted.
Measure everything we possibly can. Try to take samples of the material. And I would be interested in trying to go down as far as we could. The first starting with right there at the base of the thing, just try to remove some sand around it. But we're probably limited in how long we can be out here because we're basically being sunblasted 100% of the time.
You're out here in basically spacesuits.
Yeah.
You've got cool suits on out here trying to deal with this because it is hundreds of degrees out here.
So, yeah,
like
there are
out there.
practical limitations to what we can do. But
this was several weeks. I mean, you're going to be out here for a little while. You retreat to the air conditioning in the tent, study over what findings you got this morning, and you go back this afternoon when it's just best you can.
Yeah,
not a whole lot of change in the temperature, but.
So that's it. We document the surface that we can see, samples, and then dig down.
Yeah.
See how far we can get. Is there a bottom to this thing?
Yeah. So you keep digging and you come to a seam, an opening. You can tell it's like a door.
How big is the door? Is it human sized or bigger or smaller?
It's a little bit bigger than human size, but you can, as you keep digging, you can tell it's like a double door. It opens outward, so you have to dig a while to get to it. But
and then there's another door inside, is what you're saying.
Yeah, once you get this, because it doesn't open perpendicular to the ground, it follows the upper edge of the pyramid. So it opens out and up at a 45-degree angle.
Right. So if anybody has the capability, when we get around to trying to open the door, does anyone have the ability to sample atmosphere or temperature, that sort of thing? We want to see what's inside there before it mingles with
Right.
the rest of the atmosphere out here. It basically gets blasted.
It's actually significantly cooler inside.
For a moment.
Yeah. But I'll use darkness.
Click.
All right. You get in there. Give me an archaeology roll. Let's just see some rolls.
Archaeology. All right. We'll see.
Oh, hello. So you shine the light in there and it's just an abyss. Eventually, your eyes adjust and you can see the bottom end of this thing. Maybe about 60 feet down, and it's at an angle. As you look at it, guesstimate some measurements, it looks to be maybe 60, 75 feet long and a rectangle. It's just buried at an angle.
All right. Given that the geometry is not favorable to us, we're going to have to lower ourselves down if we want to explore inside. So we probably have some steel cables for that. We can't use rope because it would poof.
Exactly.
So head on in.
All right. Just for giggles, let's have a climbing and jumping or dexterity roll.
Climbing and jumping. All right.
Whichever's higher.
I think climbing and jumping is higher, actually.
So basically, you'll clang at the bottom.
Ow.
Yeah. Not really enough to hurt you. It's just enough to hurt your pride. And you got your recordings going and get the lights on, and air quality is stale, but it's okay.
I'm concerned that the temperature is probably spiked because we had to have both doors open to lower ourselves down in.
Right. It has, but like I said, the fact that probably 60% of this thing is buried, it's actually a little bit cooler. But as you feel around, the place is almost entirely barren. Nothing there. It's just angles and flat surfaces. But down in the very deepest corner, you find a, for lack of a better word, it's kind of a rounded edged metallic crate. It looks like it's been burst open.
Okay. So a container of some sort.
Yes. It itself is empty, but it has a series of symbols on it. And it is a language unlike anything you've ever seen. Let's see if I can find it. All right. And it looks something like this.
Definitely document that.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like white metal or a very hard plastic. It looks like it's been forcibly slammed around and broken open. It has seams to where it clamshells together to close, but they're still sealed. Just one corner has been busted out of it, got flung around in here somehow or another.
Yeah.
But the
How big
content,
is it?
maybe a bread box size,
So not that big.
18, 24 inches square.
All right. Given the time restraints and how long it will probably take to get another expedition out here, normally you wouldn't be taking things away from a site to just document what, leave it and come back for the next team. But unless you're British, that's right. There is so much truth to that, or others. The Brits weren't the only ones to do that sort of thing. But nevertheless, I don't know when the next expedition will make it out here. It might be years,
Right.
It might be decades, because it took a whole lot to get these folks equipped and financed and the interest drilled up.
And
I
you feel
think
like this might give you proof where you could actually get some more funding.
Yeah. So break the rule and take the box.
Yeah.
And wrap it as much as possible in some padding material so that when it hits the heat, it doesn't disintegrate. Protect it from the sun and the elements, and get it into our, not into our tent, but into some sort of container so that we can isolate it from our environment. We don't know what it is. It might be poisonous, for all we know, radioactive. So is that the only object of note in this kind of strange geometric place?
Absolutely.
All right, let's take it up.
All right. Give me one more archaeology roll.
Archaeology.
All right. After studying this thing in its containment for a couple of days, as you wind down and pack up, best guess is that it's some sort of shipping container, and this was a sub-container inside that, because of its damage, was left behind. Best theory.
And presumably everything else that was in there was taken.
You can see from some of your measurements and photographs inside, there were hard points in there where you maybe would attach straps or something to hold stuff down.
So this may have been like a cargo container or something like that.
It's like a Connex, a freight car.
So the question then becomes, who put all this stuff here, and who took it, and where did they take it, and why?
So it brought in more questions than it answered.
But very interesting ones.
Absolutely.
All right. So this is this is fun of a lifetime, guys. Super, super excited. The whole team's really psyched.
Oh, absolutely. Break out the champagne. It just evaporates immediately.
Yeah. That's the way to stay sober.
So anyway, you take this back to the university and peruse over it a little more. And the school gives you funding to go public with it and try to get more funding to make a bigger deal out of this. This questions our entire thinking, because our entire history only goes back 500 years. And just all of a sudden we were here. Settlers moving out about this side of the ocean. And then the battle began 300 years ago with the ice people. And everybody decided to hold their station, and that's where we've been. We haven't really evolved very much in those 300 years.
But that's guy's name, last name. You'd go to the dean and say, like, this certainly raises questions, but we don't have answers yet. What are we going to tell the public? That we have a mystery, but if we go with public now with what little we have, it's just going to make things worse. They'll conspiracy theories and God knows what. I'm not comfortable with it yet. I'd like to do some more research, nail this down.
So we need the money.
What about the science, Dean? This isn't like a reality show.
But this is one of those things that everybody has pondered our entire existence. We need to make a major study of this. We got to have the right equipment to set up a long-term study of this thing.
Absolutely, I agree. But will undermining society be the right way to do that?
You don't think it would?
Really, what do we have here? We have a totally unknown civilization. We don't know their origins. We don't know what happened to them or why they were there. It just leads the public to draw their own conclusions, and there's no telling what they'll say. That might actually divert from our work.
I don't know. But it's definitely a quandary.
Are you saying this is the only way that we could get support? Is to just go public and let the chips fall where they may?
Let's just take it to the powers that be before we get open it to Joe Schmo. It's not really what I meant. If we can get government support behind this, see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he's even less comfortable with that, but yeah, he nods.
Yeah. But,
Understanding where you're coming from.
it's not like we're the only major institution on this side of the ocean anyway. But it's still the fact that we need to share enough of it to generate interest without necessarily frightening the populace.
So if we're going to go to the government, I guess the question I have to DM is, at this point, do we have an idea what the material is that the box is made of? Is it relative to our own tech? Is it something more advanced than ours or less? Or
You guys are approaching it. It is a high impact polymer. It is a plastic.
so it's something we can understand, but we can't make ourselves yet.
It's
All right.
a damn fancy milk crate. You know how hard plastic a milk crate is. Damn thing's almost indestructible compared to your typical Tupperware kind of tote or something. You can just about, you can bend it, but it really takes it. But if you really slam it, it'll break like white metal does and leave a jagged, sharp edge to it. You can tell it has a crystalline structure like a metal would, but it melts like a plastic. It's that malleable.
And then the other question would be, okay, we know that the material is slightly more advanced than ours, but it's not just totally beyond our understanding. So that's good. But the thing that it came in, that's been out there for who knows how long. Now, when on Earth archaeologists want to sample to age something, they have a few techniques, carbon dating, that sort of thing, but those may not apply in this world. You know, carbon dating was developed given an understanding of several tens of thousands of years of history, and the statistical analysis of the evidence that was garnered from prehistoric times and dinosaurs and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Without that sort of evidence, what dating technology do we have here amongst archaeologists in this world?
Like I said, it's definitely in that 500 plus year range, which classifies as prehistory on this world. It's because, you know, like records weren't kept before 500 years ago.
Yep.
People
Right.
just appeared here.
So we don't know. We're our best guess is that it's prehistoric.
Yeah. For what passes for prehistoric on this world.
All right.
Most
That's
everybody has it's almost a unanimous disdain for technology. It's part of the reason why it's so stagnant. Is everybody's comfortable where they are. It'll seem like there's some sort of innate fear of technology getting too advanced, too much AI, these kinds of things. The fact that we've advanced to smartphones unnerves people. Everybody still got a flip phone. The fact they can take a picture and send a text is unnerving to people.
Ain't natural.
Exactly. This much power shouldn't be held in the palm of your hand, kind of thing.
With that realization, it's even scarier to go public with this.
Exactly.
All right, so the government, with what little we have, who do you have a contact in the government you think would help?
I've got some people. Our funding comes from somewhere.
I never really asked before.
Yeah. So like I said, I will, for once, I'm going to take curriculum to them. Let's put it that way. But this is the find of our lifetime.
No, without doubt.
Because
And I already have plans about what to do next with the excavation, because those people, they obviously took the crates that were there and left with them. Maybe some of them are nearby. And if we just excavated around the structure, we might find more.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do, but we just got to get out there with the proper equipment.
And in all honesty, we don't really have the best of technologies to do it. You guys need more than just a cool suit. You're going to need something that has self-contained atmosphere to have a longer field time These
You need a really big tent.
and
Put the entire site
Yeah,
into
we're
something
gonna-
that we can work within.
yeah, we can put a tarp over, a reflective tarp over the whole thing, but we're still going to have static structures more than just a tent. For the storms get bad over there.
Yeah, we were lucky. We didn't encounter one.
That's probably what buried this damn thing. So let me make a few calls. You keep on studying.
All right.
All right. So a little bit of time passes and they basically let you revisit with what you have. We're working on it. We're going to get you some better stuff. We just have to design it. If you want to go out there and just poke at it some more, just be careful. And they send you back out there. That's probably only been 2-3 months. Let's just go ahead and say it's been all 6. You've gotten the big tarp. You can stretch that out over it, but it's not going to hold up against a big storm or anything. You don't have any permanent structures. You're still having to work out of these heavy duty tents. And that one's brown. It should be reflective. You know what I mean? And so anyway, you're out there digging, doing your thing. And one day, let's see if I can get to it. One day his chopper shows up.
What the hell?
And it's a big old heavy dude. And these 2 suited guys come up and I don't have tokens for everybody yet. But they come up, introduce themselves to you as being with basically the government investigative bureau, their version of the FBI.
Agent Kindler and Agent Gentler. Yeah. Kinder and Gentler.
Agent Black and Agent Green.
All right.
And they said, we've seen your evidence. And we think we may have found more.
Really?
But we need to keep this under wraps. Can you come with us and help us investigate?
I'd be glad to, but we have the project ongoing right here. It'd be hard to just drop it in the middle of the excavation.
You've got a whole team here. They won't miss you. We're just going to go look at a few things and let you verify to us what you think. And then we'll have you right back. It's a bit of a haul.
All right. Give me a couple of hours to get things sorted here.
Oh, absolutely. We are under a time constraint, but not a time crucial one. We have the area cordoned off.
All right. And that leaves him wondering what the hell's going on. And flying a chopper out here? He thought it wasn't possible to take aircraft on this side of the solar line. It's just too dangerous.
It probably can't sit there very long. They're having to keep it running so it doesn't melt the rotors.
Okay, so that does not make him want to get in for the return trip, but yes, a couple hours later, okay, made sure that you're in charge. We're here working on such and such project. Keep it going, yada, all that good stuff.
So with that, the chopper returns you to the university to pick up some of your equipment that you would need without taking it away from your team. Some of your backups and stuff. Get you a change of clothes or two, and then you go on to basically the airport in the city, and you get off the military chopper and onto a civilian one.
All right.
Which is flown by Steven's character. So at this point, I need a piloting role from Steven. So all you know is you were sent out here to pick up some sort of academic on these 2 suits. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just a routine flight along the coast. You don't have to go get into all the heat stuff. your chopper probably wouldn't handle it. That big, heavy military one was okay.
Before Moira takes off, Neville asked, is it okay if I sit in the co-pilot's seat there if you don't have one?
Yes.
All right. Because he just wants to see everything,
Yeah,
whatever this is as we approach it.
No. Really and truly, you've never really ventured this far west. Your stuff was north. Going and checking out all this desert stuff. Things around there close. Venturing as close as you could get, to the glacier. But you've never gone this far west. And it's not the capital, but you've heard of Port Prosperity. And then the town of Kenleyan that built up around it. And you're just amazed at just the beauty of it all. The stark pines, the blotchy snow as the sun bakes some of it away, snow again a couple of days and bring it back right back, but it's just blotchy. And then you've got the rocky shoreline. Some of it's volcanic rock, so the shoreline is real dark. It's just a very bold, rugged surface. You guys land in town at basically the police station. They got a real nice helipad out there. And you pick up a car and are escorted. First off, let's just stop and look at what they present you there at the police station. So here's what we found already. That drew us to your work. Once we got wind of what was going on.
Moira was friendly and chatting with the professor here during the flight. So would she have come with him?
You probably would have gone in. I don't know if they would actually let you in on this part or not, but you might be able to do it. Just give me a perception roll. See if you make it out through the window of the office as you're walking around getting a cup of coffee.
From Jeff.
Yeah.
Neville wouldn't stop her at all.
Yeah, Jeff's already on the ground, but he's the one that.
Oh, God.
Jeff makes a terrible cup of coffee.
Yeah.
It's the beans. I didn't buy them.
You imagine beans growing in this kind of.
I just mean police. The department doesn't invest in them very much.
There you go.
Try filtering the water.
So apparently they get into a discussion about the finer points of coffee. Lots of ones.
All right. They bring you a photograph of something that's burned into a bark of a tree.
Okay. Whoa, what? Really?
Now, if you bring up your other one.
That is definitely one of the symbols that we found on the box.
Precisely.
You found it burned into the bark of a tree?
Yes.
Do you have they're showing me a picture of it, right?
Yeah.
So how precisely was it burned? Was it somebody like took a torch? And
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Okay.
It was burned past the bark. The actual wood is visible. The wood itself is visible. It has been there for some time. It's weathered. But you can tell it was not physically cut into it. You can see the blackening around the edges where it was burned into the tree.
I tell the suits, this doesn't make any sense because this box, we're thinking it's prehistoric. This tree, if it's one of the normal pines around here, it can't be more than 50 years old.
You being the expert on this, that's why we felt like you needed to be your own site to kind of help us investigate this.
Okay, so that means somebody knows about the symbol, knew enough about its shape to burn it into a tree that is not prehistoric. Okay. Can we go take a look at it?
Absolutely. But the problem is I need Peg for the next part, so that's probably going to get us as far as we're going to get tonight. But that has us open. That finishes the prologue and gets us started where everybody's together.
The mystery is unfolding.
Eric's probably already looked it up and figured out what it says.
I did not.
Okay.
Not yet, at least.
Okay.
No, I said I wouldn't because I knew what that's. I knew the symbols were going to be. I said no, I won't look it up. Preserve the mystery.
I got you. It's when somebody does, they're going to laugh. So
Holy spam.
Character always had the guy looking over the fence that said so and so was here.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
What was his
like I
name?
said,
Kilroy.
Kilroy was here.
Okay.
like I said, that gets us our prologue done and kind of gets a handful of the characters together. We will meet up with Mr. Peg out in the field because this area has just been released by the military to his logging company for clean cutting. The Army has held on tightly to this area for the last year. And now they want it quickly cleared. And he wants to get it done.
No, wait, hold on.
So right now,
there's a tree out there that I need to see. There might be more.
exactly. I need him here for that.
So the conflict arises.
Any questions? Any verbal abuse?
No. Glad to see you in the saddle again.
Yeah, I've still got a little bit more to do. I still have to name a few more people. The agents don't have names yet.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, black and green. I've got names for them somewhere. I just can't find my notes. So tonight was mainly about character generation and reminding ourselves of the quirkiness of West End Games first edition Star Wars rules and bending them to our want and need. But like I said, the story is happening somewhere else, and we're getting the clues that slowly draw us into the conflict of the hour.
So if Red Dawn was when the communists attacked, is Twilight Dawn when the vampires attack?
Or if we see sparkles, we'll know.
And I'll tell the players what's going on. The reason why I got that name is it's the beginning of the darkness, because this is very shortly after the issuing of Order 66, within a year.
So yeah, and you don't have to tell us much, please. It's much more enjoyable if we should figure it out.
Yeah, but like I said, that's
See what's going on. Yeah.
As far as where you fall in the timeline of things.
Yeah, that helps put a little bit of perspective on it, at least.
You know, the Empire isn't the big machine yet.
But recently there was a massive disturbance in the force, as one might say.
Exactly.
So a geriatric fellow who forgot to put in his dentures that morning said, "Order 66."
Bingo. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Where's my chili dog?
You're gonna have to get that icon from Peg.
Yeah.
The guy with the cart and the hot dog suit.
There are a few.
Where'd he come from? Yeah.
There are a few downtown maps in this. He'll have to show up there somewhere.
Yep. Along with the cat too.
It's going to be a running gag. So he's really putting some effort into pulling his own stuff back up. So some of the stuff he's shown me.
Oh, good. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what he comes up with.
Yeah. I think Logan did very well last week for being as green as he was.
Oh yeah. As to what you just said, see, yeah, I don't think I've laughed more in one of our games in some time. That was great.
It's actually a running gag now. One of the missions Logan had to do was get blindfolded and go on his hands and knees through a supposedly burning building and retrieve a baby. Now, the actual item they used was a mannequin leg, and he came out holding the leg over his head. I found the baby.
There you go.
I just wish I could have been there to see that. I think he had a good time with all that.
Yep, very good.
They were very impressed with him, and I passed the word on to my little fire chief buddy in Carthage, and he was so impressed by the fact that a young man was that invested, he sent him home his own helmet.
Yeah.
Nice.
He says it's not certifiable anymore. It's kind of got a crack in it, but so you can't go in a burning building with it, but you can hang it on his wall. So he's made an impression on some people in a few days. He's made some new friends. He's been texting back and forth. So
That's
Very
awesome.
good.
it's really cool. I was afraid they were going to exclude him because he wasn't from Rutherford County, but they welcomed him right in. So I think he had a good time. Anything else you want to share about it?
Search and rescue was the best part.
And I thought the search and rescue was the best part where he found the baby. Now, sorry to hear you jump the gun a little bit on getting up moving around.
Now, I'm still processing. It's
Okay.
this one's potentially worse than the hole in the right foot.
All right.
Not potentially, it is worse than the hole in the right foot. The guy actually took some X-rays, and so I saw the damage. So it's a thing. It's already it's already past the initial stages, and the pain that I'm feeling.
Hop on one foot.
What's that?
You tried to tell him he couldn't hop on one foot.
I told him, look, man. So what happened? I asked the guy, so what happens next? Just explain it to me, what it is, and what's going to happen next. And what happens next is it's the bones, because they're deformed now. One of them's trying to poke a hole through the sole of the foot. That's what's causing me pain right now. It's forming an ulcer, and eventually it'll actually pierce through. And I told him, look, I already got a hole in my foot. I don't need to. What are you talking about? But basically, that's the game over point. If it gets to that point, yeah, there is no magic drug or wave the magic wand or surgery that can correct it, because it is what it is.
Yeah.
What the only way to fix it is to let it run its course. While it's running its course, have no weight. It can't be weight bearing. You can't allow it to deform any more than it is, which is freaking impossible. I'm not going to sit in a nursing home for the next 9 months. So there's going to be I'm using a walker now, but eventually I'll get one of those little scooters you can put your knee on.
Yeah.
And they got this boot that I'm going up to Estill Springs, and an outfit special makes it. And the idea with that is it's taking the weight off the foot and putting it on the calf and the knee. So that's where that's what's bearing the weight, and you're just trying to allow you to move around, but still remove some of the weight load from the foot.
Yeah,
Basically, fitting you for a battle dress just from the knee down.
I saw a picture of it, and it freaking looks like Darth Vader. It really does.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to end up with, but yeah, it freaking looks like Darth Vader. And but the thing is, I won't know. I won't know for a year whether it's successful.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to have to wear this thing all that time, because the damage is just degrading the joints continuously. I can feel it. And now that he's actually explained to me what the pain is and where it's coming from, I understand now, why it's hurting so much and what's hurting.
Yeah.
And I can actually feel it be eating away. That was the alarming thing. He's a surgeon and a podiatrist, and he says, I asked him, so what's going to happen to the bones? So they dissolve. What? They lose their structural integrity and dissolve. And in the worst case, the foot deforms in weird ways. And you've seen pictures, if you look it up, pictures of people with the foot at 90-degree angles and twisted. And and that in the States, they don't let it get that far. They amputate.
Yeah. Have you looked into prosthetics?
Yeah, that's what the Darth Vader leg's for. But if you after amputation, yeah, it's going to have to be some prosthetic or other, if it gets that far. So yeah, like I said, I'm still processing. It's just one thing after another.
Now, I read you. You can call on me, whatever you need done.
Same here.
Yep.
I need you guys to get like force healing powers and just lay on hands or whatever it is that doesn't exist in this world.
I can go in here over the top of the refrigerator.
Both need that.
Yeah,
Contact those cocoon people.
the other cocoon people. Yeah, that's right. That'll
I
work.
can go over here on top of the refrigerator and make you one of Mickey's potions.
Yeah. It's,
That-
that's,
might-
that may
that
be,
might-
the-
Move it.
that
that may
has
be the
different.
best you can do.
That's right. That has other advantages I can think of. That's good. I like it. Yeah.
It will take the pain away.
Yeah.
It will take the pain away.
And unfortunately, my lay on hands, I only have 5 points of until we do a long rest. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to heal much.
I'm a first level civilian. I probably only have 5 hit points. So what the hell? Yeah. Jeez.
Grew a new kidney.
Yeah. No kidding. But the thing I think that's worth mentioning is that this sort of thing is going to happen to all of us
Oh yeah.
to one degree or other. Different systems, different illnesses. It's just a part of life. At the end of it, things break down.
Yeah.
There's no sense in getting too upset about it. Just work with it where you can.
And as we've done so far, we just work together. So just don't be ashamed to ask for help.
I don't think it's being ashamed. It's just being annoyed.
Well,
Yes,
I
I'm-
understand that. But you're not annoying me by letting me know. It can annoy you. I understand that. That's your motivation to get better.
Yeah.
But in order to get there, we'll help you along what we can. Whether that's bringing you cheese or helping you move around. Okay?
Yeah, the cheese whiz solves everything. Why didn't I think of that in the first place?
Did you bring my cheese whiz, boy?
That's right.
But thankfully, this other injury has protected your right foot. You can still travel. So, best you can.
Yeah, I'm going to drive myself to some Springs for the fitting. I'm just going to have something to play Hopalong Cassidy with while I'm there. Yeah, really annoying.
I got you. Yeah, just keep us posted. And what we can do, we'll do.
No, that's appreciated.
And I don't know. I guess it's going to be back to Cyberpunk next week.
Sounds good. We'll let Mr. Pegg make a determination what he wants to do.
Yeah, he just had extra kids to watch tonight, so he wasn't able to break free.
Yeah, RLT.
Figured he'd better call it before it called it on him last second to prepare.
So it's all good.
So I got a few things to throw together to get us this far, but need his help to get to the next scene.
Do we have anything going on around the sea? Let me look at the schedule. So the next week actually is the weekend of the 4th, yeah, but it's the 1st. It shouldn't be a big deal. All right, yeah, no problem.
I got you. I put in a request to find out what day we're supposed to be off for the 4th. So if you need help getting somewhere, we can do that. I just got to find out what day I'm not there. Me and Logan have taken this coming Friday off. You know, being his last weekend, I have to have him back on Sunday next week. And Friday's just going to be an us day. We're going to go up to Carthage and let him debrief the chief about how his week went. And then we'll play around some in the afternoon and head on back. We might even make it out there. Who knows?
Oh, cool. Enjoy it.
Yep. So I guess be well off. Y'all come with any questions or anything, just shoot me through chat. We'll figure it out.
All right, sounds like a
All
plan.
Okay.
Y'all have a good night.
Take care, everybody.
We'll
See ya.
Talk to y'all tomorrow.
All right.